Cuba's government appears to be disputing a report it poses a drone threat against the U.S. Axios yesterday reported Cuba has acquired more than 300 military drones. According to that outlet, Havana is discussing plans to launch an attack on the U.S. military base in Guantanamo Bay. After that was released, Cuba's foreign minister accused the U.S. of building a fraudulent case to justify sanctions and potential military action. Now, we should note the foreign minister did not directly reference the Axios report we just discussed. But Marc Caputo can tell us what's going on. He's the Axios White House correspondent behind that reporting. He's also a CBS News contributor. Marc, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Tell us about what you found regarding drones, and what do you make of Cuba's statement on potential military action that came out a short time after your reporting?
Well, first off, Cuba's not denying it has drones. The United States intelligence agencies say it has as many as 300 or acquired them since 2023 or so, midway through Biden's last term or Biden's only term. As for what the intelligence agencies say they found is that after the toppling of Nicolas Maduro and the rapprochement between the United States and Venezuela, the U.S. began learning about the drone program, the drone acquisitions of Cuba. They say, as I said, it's about 300. They don't have exact numbers. They say these are stashed throughout the country, and that Cuba has looked in recent weeks to acquire more, mainly from Russia. These are from Russia and China. In these discussions that the United States says it has overheard or intercepted, the Cubans have talked about various targets to use, mainly in case there is a U.S. invasion, which is an understandable concern of Cuba's because the United States posture has become increasingly hostile toward the island. Now, President Trump hasn't ruled out invading the island, nor has he ruled it in. Those are part of active discussions. But what's pretty clear right now is the United States is sending a message to Cuba saying, we know that you have these capabilities. We know that you've discussed hitting these targets for one reason or another. And so therefore, it's sort of time to make a deal. The United States has been trying to get Cuba to have a free country, free elections, freed political prisoners, the right for labor to organize, and also land that had been seized by the revolution to be returned to U.S. businesses and U.S. companies since basically 1959. And the Cuban government has refused. So what's different now over these years is that Cuba's economy is in shambles. It's in really rough shape. And it doesn't look as if the Trump administration has any intention of backing off.
Right. We know they've had fuel shortages, which have led to long-term blackouts there. And in the background of all this, sources tell CBS News the U.S. is trying to indict Cuba's former president, Raul Castro. Is the U.S., I guess, perhaps doing that in a way to have leverage in these negotiations?
That's a great question. It's clear that the United States is doing this to put more pressure on the regime. Now, whether it works or not is another matter. Raul Castro was, 92 or so? I should know his exact age, and so I apologize for having forgotten it at the moment. And this would be for a crime, an alleged crime that happened in 1996. That was the shooting down of 2 rescue aid planes from a group called Brothers to the Rescue that were based in Miami that were dropping supplies to rafters who were fleeing Cuba after the last period where Cuba's economy really started to spiral down in the mid-90s after the collapse of the Soviet Union when it lost its patron state in Russia. Since then, the Cuban government had sort of recovered by establishing close ties with Venezuela, which was supplying it with oil. Some of that oil Cuba used for free, the other oil it sold on the market. But now that's gone as well. So in the meantime, the Trump administration and Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, have opened high-level talks with Cuba's leaders, including the grandson of Raul Castro, Raulito Castro. How this indictment, if it is handed down, it looks like it's going to be Wednesday, will affect those talks or the ability to sort of effectuate change is a big open question. It does look as if the United States is probably less interested in believing that it can force a deal or deal makers to come to the table than it is just increasing pressure and increasing pressure and increasing pressure.
Well, Raul Castro, you were close. He's 94, and he's got his 95th birthday 2 weeks from Wednesday. So he is up there. Marc, we appreciate your insight, though. Thanks for bringing your reporting to us.